Hello students, welcome to Database Management System subject. I am Srikanth. I'm going to be starting today the one of the topic called SQL Overview. In the database, this topic is most important for all the students. Today I'm giving much clarity over SQL. Okay, yeah, the main agenda of this session is what is SQL, why SQL is required, what SQL does. Okay, what is the agenda of this today's session? What is SQL, why SQL is required, what SQL does. We move ahead. What is SQL? SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It is designed for managing the data in a relational database management system. Simply we call RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. Sometimes it is pronounced as SQL or SQL. Okay, so many pronunciation may be vary from one environment to another environment. Like simply we can call SQL or SQL. Both are correct for pronunciation of what? SQL. The original version called SQL, it's nothing but structured English query language, was designed by IBM in mid 1970s. The main intention for designing and this language, structured English query language, is nothing but is a non-procedural language. Simply it processes data in group of records rather than one record at a time, unlike different programming languages. Okay, if you go with C, C++, Java, .NET, PHP, Python, those are all procedural and structural object-oriented programming languages. Those are all procedural languages, but SQL is what? Non-procedural language. It's simply we are writing the query in English language. Okay, SQL is a database language. It is used for what? Database creation, deletion, fetching rows, and modifying the rows. SQL is based on relational algebra and tuple relational calculus. See, in modern RDBMS systems like MySQL Server, Oracle Server, DB2 Server, MS Access Server, Sybase Server, Informix, PostgreSQL, and MS SQL Server uses SQL as a standard database language. Okay, here SQL is nothing but what? Structured query language. Using this language, we can able to communicate with various database servers in the market like MySQL Server, Oracle Server, DB2 Server, MS Access Server, Sybase Server, Informix Server, PostgreSQL Server, MS SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server. Okay, I hope clear about the word what is SQL. We can simply pronounce it pronounced as what? SQL or SQL. It is what? Standard database language used for several database servers in the market. The second question, why SQL is required? Okay, SQL is required for creating new databases, tables, views, so on. The in interviews or if you go with any companies, they may ask what is CRUD, CRUD, CRUD operations. Is nothing but create, read, update, and delete. We are doing these CRUD operations over a database servers with the help of SQL statements. SQL is required majorly to performing several database operations like inserting records in a database, updating records in a database, deleting records from the database, and retrieving or fetching data from the databases. See, SQL is majorly required to perform what? This CRUD operations for create, read, update and delete operations over database. See, using SQL, not only we are performing CRUD operations, we can also do several operations over the databases. We'll discuss in the coming sessions. Next question, what SQL does? With SQL, we can query our database in several ways using English-like language. See, if you go with some other programming languages, some other thing, we need to learn some different kinds of things. But coming to SQL, we can write the query simply in English-like language only. With SQL, a user can access data from a relational database management system. I told you just before the slide, using SQL, we can do several operations over the databases like creating, reading, updating, deleting, retrieving or fetching the data from the databases. It allows the user to describe the data. It allows the user to define the data in the database, and we can also do several manipulations when it needed. It also the user to create and drop databases and tables using SQL statements. SQL can create views, stored procedures, functions, cursors, triggers, and so on, okay, in the databases. SQL can set permissions on tables, procedures, and views. SQL can execute queries, retrieving the data, inserting the data or records in the database tables, updating the records in the database tables, deleting the records in the database table. Okay, the main intention for using SQL is what? SQL is nothing but structured query language. Is used to perform several database operations. We can write some statements and queries to do or perform several database operations. Okay. Yeah. So today we discussed about what is SQL, why SQL is required, what SQL does. Thank you all the students and viewers. If you like my videos, make it like, share and subscribe my videos. Very quickly I come with the next videos. Thank you all.